Our Frank Talk continues with Kaizer Kganyago. Kaizer, SIU, right? First of all, educate us. Where does it fit in the whole milieu of the justice, system in the country?
The word SIU stands for Special Investigating Unit.
Okay.
That is what it means. It reports to the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services. And it gets its proclamation from the President via the ministry. And when we are done with our investigations, the reports end up with the President. That is where we fit in. And our job is clearly to investigate corruption, malpractice, malfeasance that is happening in government, state-owned institutions, and any other organization that might link to this SOEs and government. In particular, if JJ has got a company and you're doing business with them, we can then investigate your activities in relation to that. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Tell me about the proclamation story. What is that about? Does it mean that you can initiate your own investigation as SIU, that you have to be instructed, in a sense, by the President to do that?
Thank you for this question, because that's what a lot of people think, that the President sits somewhere and think, JJ needs to be investigated, signs a proclamation. That's not how it works.
Okay.
When a state-owned institution wants to elicit our services in terms of investigating certain things that happens, they can ask us to do so.
Yes.
We then go and do what we call a preliminary investigation to check whether there is reason for us to investigate. Once we have done so, we ourselves write this proclamation. And then we send it to the Minister of Justice, who then sends it to the President. And the President reads it and then say, okay, I agree that you can investigate. That is one part.
Yeah.
But the public generally can also whistleblow with us. There is a number which is...
Directly with the SIU?
Directly with the SIU.
Yeah.
There is a number 0800 03 7774. They can phone that number, or they can go to our website, which is www.siu.org.za, or email at info@siu.org.za. When that comes in, there's an independent company that takes all those messages, and then they do preliminary checks so that they see the authenticity of this.
Yes.
And then ultimately, once we are confident that whatever you are reporting is okay, there's something to investigate, we take the route that I just explained to the President with a proclamation to make sure that we investigate. Therefore, it is not only, the President even doesn't initiate most of this proclamation. They all come from the SIU, and then we push them up. Therefore, it is important to make this call at this point to the people out there to say, when you see malfeasance, malpractices happening, you've got the right, it is your country, to come to the SIU and give us that. But please, don't be personal about issues, because some of them, for example, people will phone and say, investigate my husband. I don't understand why he's having all this money. People need to understand that we don't deal with those.
Yeah.
We deal with malfeasance, malpractice, corruption that happens in state-owned institutions, government departments, municipalities, everywhere else in government.
But doesn't that point to the fact that maybe people don't understand where the boundaries are in terms of what you are dealing with? That's number one. Number two, brought directly to you, you can investigate without a proclamation?
No. Every time, because we are a special investigating unit, we need a proclamation. Therefore, what we then, when you whistleblow, we gather information from you, and then we do a preliminary investigation to check. If you say there was supposed to be a bridge here and it's not there, and we check, and we find that, no, there is no bridge, and then we check whether the money was taken from that, and then at that point, we can put together, when we are satisfied, a proclamation that goes to the President. And once the President signs and say investigate, that's when we start the real investigation.
Yeah, I see. All right, and then what is this tribunal, SIU tribunal? Can you explain what that is?
Let me start by saying it is not SIU tribunal.
What is it?
A special tribunal. And it is part of the act that we have. Because the act that governs the SIU is the Special Investigating Unit and Special Tribunal Act.
I see.
Therefore, it has been there since 1996 when the act was put together. Therefore, what that does is, or let me go back. Once we have investigated everything, we then have recommendations. Maybe it's about a tender that was not done properly. Therefore, what we do as SIU is to then take this matter to a civil court, where we then want the civil court to set this contract aside. And then after that, we then recover the money that would have been used in the tender at that point. Therefore, that would have meant that we go to an ordinary court and deal with that. And obviously, with the court rolls being the way they are, it takes a long time before you are put on the court roll. Therefore, the special tribunal is basically a court that is created specially to deal with the issues or the cases that come from the SIU, so that we are able to speed up the process. Therefore, when we say it is a SIU special tribunal, it gives an impression that it belongs to the SIU. It doesn't.
I see. So the SIU must still go and make its case in that tribunal.
We are litigants like anybody else, and the other person will then be served and come and defend themselves. And the judges, like now, there are 8 judges that are put aside by the president for the next 3 years to listen to cases that come from there, so that we can speed them up. Therefore, that is a formal court, as like any other court. And therefore, it doesn't belong to us. We all go there, we will win some, we will lose some, and that's what we are about.
What is the track record of the SIU since its establishment, in your understanding, from a point of view of these proclamations not just ending in the air? Because there's so many proclamations, we have even lost track.
I think SIU did very well, but the problem is, or was at the time, until we had the powers to take the matters directly. Because initially, we were not allowed, or the SIU wasn't allowed to take the matters, fight the cases on behalf of SOEs or government departments through the courts, because they would then recommend to an SAPC to say, take this matter up to the court. But now, the SIU has got the powers to go on its own behalf to the court, or on behalf of the SOE or government department that would have been wronged in some instances, and that is very helpful. But also, we come to a situation, for example, where you take this, some of the recommendations, for example, will be to an organization, okay, go and discipline JJ. And sometimes they just sit and don't do anything. Like today, we were in Parliament, and there was a recommendation that was put to the Department of Correctional Services in 2013 to discipline people, and this is 2019. That has not happened.
Sure.
And those are the questions that Parliament is asking to the departments that are involved to say, why? Therefore, I think we need to go to the next level as the SIU of implementation, because we will do our part, which is litigation against those and recovery. We will do that. But we also have to force the people to discipline because we can't discipline the people there. It's an employee-employee issue. But we can recommend and give you evidence. But we can even take it further, where we can say, we will avail our investigators at your hearing, there at your workplace, to come and give evidence, because they would have investigated this. We can help you with that.
What is the relationship between the SIU and the Hawks?
It's a very close relationship. The SIU is part of the corruption-fighting machinery of government. Therefore, we have got what we call the anti-corruption task team that has got all of these corruption-fighting institutions like the Hawks, like the FIC, like SARS, like Treasury. We all sit together and plan on how we deal with this thing. Because in most cases, some of these matters end up with each other. For an example, when we find criminality, we call the Hawks to come and deal with it. An example will be what happened in Polokwane last week, where people were caught trying to bribe one of our investigators. We worked with the Hawks. There are instances, for example, when we do investigation and we find a lot of criminality that needs to be prosecuted. We refer those to the NPA to prosecute. Therefore, that working relation is very important so that each and every one of us take their role in this puzzle so that we all work together to fight.
Why was there a need for an SIU in the first place? What is your assessment of that? Because all that you're describing, it seems like that's what the police should be doing on a daily basis.
Obviously, the police will do what they are supposed to do, but there are certain cases that are very complicated cases. Therefore, they need special skills. That is why, in most cases, you'll see this SOEs going out and getting private investigators to come and investigate. And we are saying we are there. We've got those specialities to come and close this gap where people were not able to go and get into this. Because you might find that some of these cases are so complicated where money has been moved from the country to other countries, where there's a lot of technical things that are happening in terms of now the industrial revolutions that are happening. Therefore, those kind of complicated cases we can resolve. We are able to follow up because that is our only.
But wasn't the SIU existence linked to the existence of the Scorpions?
No. The Scorpions were basically a police force. Purely a police force that was looking at special cases. Therefore, they will deal with criminality. We don't deal with criminality. We deal with issues that are civil. And a person might ask, well, what is the difference? When the people are following up criminality, for example, in a court, criminal case, you've got to prove beyond reasonable doubt. In our case, it's a balance of probability. Our measure or a test is not the same as in a criminal case. But all that we people who are corrupt and make sure that we recover, because sometimes people just go there, when they see that they are caught, they resign and then go and still continue enjoying their money. And we are saying that is not the correct way of doing things. We want to say you have benefited, whether you have resigned from the company or not.
It shouldn't matter.
We come after you until we get our money. If you have eaten the money, we come after your property. And then we take it and make sure that all the money that we get is not coming to the SIU. Because sometimes people think, hey, you'll be very rich. Because for now, you're talking to recover about 14.7 billion and whatever. But the money that we recover, we take back to the organization
the organization that lost that money.
Yes, we make sure that it goes back.
All right. I want to talk about a few cases that you can tell me in terms of what is the SIU busy with right now. A lot of people are worried that we've had a 1 year of state capture, ventilating all kinds of evidence, all kinds of stories and corruption stories and horror tales, and yet there's not a single person who's in prison. And whether or not the commission, as it exists, does it stop the work of the SIU? Or maybe there is a thinking that says, no, let the commission finish first. Then it will have everything together, then we'll start prosecuting from there. We heard Lord Haynes earlier on saying that these people are busy chowing that money, and you all have nothing to recover if you go with this snail pace. I want to hear your views about that. Kaizer Kganyago is my Frank Talk guest tonight. Stay tuned.